The 1878 Indian head 1-cent copper coin was born into a restless America, a nation still listening to the echo of Reconstruction while quietly stepping into a modern age. This small copper disc entered circulation not as a treasure but as a tool of daily survival, passing from hand to hand when a single cent still carried meaning. Its journey began in noise and steam, inside a mint where precision was imperfect and humanity still shaped metal more than machines ever could. The absence of a mint mark on the 1878 Indian head cent is not emptiness. It is identity. It tells us this coin came from the primary heart of American coinage, where speed mattered more than perfection and quantity outweighed preservation. Coins were not born to rest in albums. They were born to be spent, scratched, dropped, and forgotten. That is why survival itself is the first miracle of this cent. The design speaks quietly but powerfully. Liberty wears a feathered headdress, a choice that blended classical ideals with American symbolism in a way that still sparks conversation today. This was not a portrait of a real person but a message pressed into copper. Unity, expansion, and national character. Every strike carried that message outward into a growing country hungry for identity. Copper, unlike silver or gold, records life. It absorbs touch, air, heat, and time. The 1878 cent darkened not because it failed, but because it lived. That deep brown, red-brown, or even black surface often scares people away. Yet those colors are history itself. What some call dirty is often untouched originality, and originality is the rarest condition of all. Many fortunes were lost the moment a well-meaning hand tried to clean a copper coin. The instant shine replaces natural tone. History is erased. An original surface, even when dark and uneven, is a fingerprint of time. It cannot be recreated once destroyed. That is why the most respected collectors fear cleaning more than wear. The year 1878 sits at a strange crossroads. America was stabilizing, but uncertainty still lived in daily life. Coins from this period traveled through rail towns, mining camps, farms, and city markets. They jingled in pockets during decisions that shaped families and futures. This cent saw moments no ledger could record. Most 1878 Indian head cents vanished through circulation. Copper wore down quickly, and pennies were rarely saved. They were tossed aside, lost in soil, melted, or ground smooth by decades of trade. The few that survived with strong detail did so by accident, not intention, and that accident is where rarity begins. There is a dangerous illusion that value must look beautiful. In reality, value often looks honest. A dark, crusted, evenly aged Indian head cent can speak louder than a bright one with a damaged past. Collectors do not chase perfection alone. They chase truth. Truth lives in surfaces that were never altered. Stories circulate of pennies worth unimaginable sums, and while many are exaggerated, they are born from real extremes. Exceptional preservation, unusual die characteristics, or remarkable originality can push coins into legendary territory. Not every coin reaches those heights, but dismissing one without understanding is how history slips through fingers. The phrase, "don't spend it cheap," is not hype. It is caution. Once a coin leaves your possession, its future is no longer yours. Many historic cents were sold for pennies on the dollar because someone mistook age for damage or darkness for decay. Knowledge is the only defense against regret. The Indian head cent reminds us that wealth is not always loud. Sometimes it whispers from a drawer, a jar, or a forgotten envelope. Its power lies not in promises, but in potential. Potential grows when patience meets preservation. The 1878 cent also teaches humility. Even experts hesitate before making claims because copper is complex. Two coins from the same year can live entirely different lives. One becomes ordinary. Another becomes extraordinary. The difference is survival, surface, and story. What shocks new collectors most is how many valuable coins were nearly destroyed by good intentions. Cleaning, polishing, dipping, or rubbing feels helpful, but it strips away the very thing collectors seek. Time should never be erased. It should be respected. This coin does not promise instant fortune. It offers something deeper: connection. Holding it is holding a fragment of lived America, a witness to choices, struggles, and everyday life. That connection is why serious collectors care so deeply about 1 cent. Darkness on copper is not rot. It is memory. Each shade tells how the coin rested, where it traveled, and how it slept. Uniform dark tone can be a badge of honor, proof the coin was left alone long enough to become itself. The market does not reward fantasy forever, but it consistently rewards originality. Coins that survived untouched rise slowly, steadily, and often unexpectedly. The greatest increases in value usually come to those who waited rather than rushed. The 1878 Indian head cent survives as a reminder that small objects can carry massive stories. It was never meant to be rare, yet rarity found it anyway. It was never meant to be saved, yet some were. That contradiction is where fascination lives. Coins do not create billionaires overnight, but they can change direction, open doors, and teach patience. Many collectors began with one forgotten cent and built a lifetime of knowledge from that single moment of curiosity. If you ever find an 1878 Indian head cent, especially one that looks worn, dark, or unimpressive, pause before judging. That pause is the difference between loss and legacy. History waits for those who listen.
In the end, the true value of this coin is not just measured in dollars, but in respect.
Respect for time, for survival, and for the quiet power of something small that refused to disappear. That is the real wealth hidden inside an old copper cent. Next up. The 1894 Indian head 1-cent coin was born in a world that no longer exists, a time when money felt heavy in the hand and carried meaning far beyond its face value. This coin entered circulation quietly, never announcing that more than a century later people would stare at it with disbelief, wondering how something so small could hold such powerful stories. When this coin was struck, America itself was still shaping its identity. Railroads were spreading, cities were growing, and everyday people used copper cents for bread, newspapers, and simple necessities. The Indian head design was not a portrait of a real person, but a symbolic face meant to represent strength, heritage, and the spirit of a young nation trying to define itself. Copper was chosen not just for cost, but for durability and honesty. It was a metal that aged alongside the people who used it. Over time, the bright surfaces of these coins darkened, absorbed oils, reacted to air, and slowly transformed into deep browns and blacks. That transformation is not damage. It is history made visible. The year 1894 sits quietly within the Indian head series, never shouting for attention. That silence is part of its mystery. Coins that scream rarity are often watched closely, but coins that whisper are the ones that survive unnoticed, slipping through generations without being melted, cleaned, or discarded. Mint marks, or the absence of them, play a subtle role in this coin story. They hint at where the coin was born, but more importantly, they hint at how it traveled. Some coins lived hard lives, passed endlessly from hand to hand. Others rested quietly in drawers, forgotten, waiting for time to pass. Collectors understand something most people do not. Dirt can be protection. A blackened or dirty Indian head cent often wears its age like armor. That layer of darkness can shield original surfaces from harsh cleaning, preserving details that shiny coins may have lost forever. There is something unsettling about holding a coin older than every living person. The 1894 cent has seen wars, economic collapses, industrial revolutions, and technological miracles. It survived not because it was valuable, but because it was ordinary. That ordinariness is exactly what gives it power today. Millions were spent without thought. Only a fraction survived intact. Even fewer remained untouched by modern hands trying to improve them. Stories of unimaginable value often begin with misunderstanding. People hear numbers, see headlines, and imagine instant fortune. The truth is quieter and deeper.
Coins do not become valuable because of hype. They become valuable because they endure. The Indian head cent holds emotional value before financial value.
It represents a time when a single cent mattered, when money was slow, physical, and personal. That emotional weight drives collectors as much as rarity does. Every scratch on an 1894 cent is a decision made long ago. Every dark patch is a moment of exposure. Every worn letter is proof that the coin did its job. Perfection is not the goal of history. Survival is. The most dangerous thing you can do to a historic coin is rush. Rushing to clean it, rushing to sell it, rushing to believe stories without understanding context. Coins punish haste and reward patience. Collectors do not chase dreams of overnight riches. They chase understanding. They study metal, wear, strike quality, and natural aging. Over time, That understanding turns ordinary objects into respected artifacts. The Indian head cent does not promise wealth, but it offers something more lasting: connection. Connection to hands long gone, markets long closed, and a world that no longer moves at modern speed. Coins like the 1894 cent become valuable when society changes how it sees them. When people stop using something, nostalgia follows. When nostalgia grows, curiosity follows. When curiosity grows, value follows. A dirty coin can be more honest than a polished one. Polishing removes evidence. Dirt preserves it. History prefers truth over beauty. The idea that a small copper coin could one day be worth staggering sums feels impossible until it isn't. History is full of examples where ignored objects became priceless because they survived while others vanished. The power of this coin lies not in fantasy, but in time. Time is the rarest ingredient in numismatics, and no one can manufacture it. If you ever hold an 1894 Indian head cent, you are holding more than copper. You are holding a witness, a survivor, a message from a slower world. And that is why you should never underestimate a dark, dirty, forgotten coin. Because sometimes, the smallest pieces of history carry the heaviest weight, and the greatest stories waiting to be told. Next video, Bay.